Hey friends and family, I have a few moments before work, so I'm hiding in the car and hopefully I can get this chapter out clearly. So, Maccabees, Book 1, Chapter 5. Now when the nations round about heard that the altar was built and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much. Okay, in the previous chapter, is the rededication of the temple, and the other nations are not too happy. Wherefore they thought to destroy the generations of Jacob that was among them, and thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. Then Judith fought against the children of Esau in Idumea and Arabatine, because they besieged Galil. And he gave them a great overthrow, and abated their courage, and took their spoils. Also he remembered the injury of the children of Bayan, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, and that they lay in wait for them in the ways. He shut them up therefore in the towers, and encamped against them, and destroyed them utterly, and burned the towers of that place with fire, and all that were therein. Afterward he passed over to the children of Ammon, where he found a mighty power, and much people, with Timotheus their captain. He also fought many battles with them, until at length they were discomfited before him, and he smote them. And when he had taken Jazer with the towns belonging thereto, he returned to Judea. Then the heathen that were at Gilead assembled themselves together against the Israelites that were in their quarters, to destroy them. But they fled to the fortresses of Dathamah, and sent letters unto Judith and his brothers. The heathen that were round about us are assembled together against to destroy us. And they were preparing to come and take the fortress, whereupon we are fled. Timotheus, being captain of their host, come now therefore and deliver us from their hands, for many of us are slain. So this is a letter from Israelites, it looks like trapped in Gilead, that the enemy is coming against them. They're writing to Judith. Verse 13. Yea, all our brethren that were in the places of Tob are put to death, their wives and their children also. They have carried away captives and borne away their stuff, and they have just destroyed there about 1,000 men. While these letters were being read, behold, there came other messengers from Galilee, with their clothes rent, who reported on this wise. And they said, they of Ptolemais, and of Tyrus, and Sidon, and all Galilee of the Gentiles, are assembled together against us to consume us. Now when Judas and the people heard these words, there assembled a great congregation together to consult what they should do for their brethren, for that were in trouble and assaulted of them. They said to Judas and to Then said Judas unto Simon his brother, choose thee out men, and go and deliver thy brethren that are in Galilee. For I and Jonathan my brother will go to the country of Gilead. So he left Joseph, the son of Zacharias, and Azarias, captains of the people, with the remnant of the host in Judea to keep it, unto whom he gave commandment, saying, take ye the charge of this people, and see that ye make not war against the heathen until the time that we come again. Now unto Simon there were given 3,000 men to go into Galilee, and unto Judas 8,000 men for the country of Gilead. Then went Simon into Galilee, where he fought many battles with the heathen, so that the heathen were discomfited by him. And he pursued them into the gate of Ptolemais, and there were slain of the heathen about 3,000 men, whose spoils he took. And those that were in Galilee and in Arabatis, with their wives and their children, all that they had, took he away with them, and brought them to Judea with great joy. Judas Maccabeus also and his brother Jonathan went over Jordan and traveled 3 days' journey into the wilderness, where they met with Nabathites, who came into them in a peaceable manner, and told them everything that had happened to the brethren in the land of Gilead, and how that many of them were shut up in Bozrah, and Bosora and Bosor, Alama, Casphor, Maked, Karnaim, and these cities are strong and great. And that they were shut up in the rest of the cities of the country of Gilead, and that against tomorrow they appointed to bring their host against the force, and to take them, and to destroy them all in one day. Hereupon Judas and his hosts turned suddenly by the way of the wilderness into Bosora, where he had won the city, and he slew all the males with the edge of the sword, and took all their spoil, and burned the city with fire. From whence he removed by night, and went until he came to the fortresses. And betimes in the mornings they looked up, and behold, there was an innumerous people bearing ladders, other engines of war, to take the fortresses, for they assaulted them. When Judas therefore saw that the battle had begun, and that the cry of the city went up to the heavens with trumpets and a great sound, he said unto his host, Fight this day for your brethren. So he went forth behind them in 3 companies, who sounded their trumpets and cried with prayer. Then the host of Timotheus, knowing that it was Maccabees, fled from him. Wherefore he smote them with a great slaughter, so that there were killed of them that day about 8,000 men. This done, Judas turned aside from Maspah, and after he had assaulted it, he took and slew all the males therein, and received the spoils thereof, and burnt it with fire. And thence went he, and took Caspon, Maked, Bosor, and other cities of the country of Gilead. After these things he gathered Timotheus, another host, and encamped against Raphon beyond the brook. So Judas sent men to espy the host, who brought him word, saying, All the heathen that be around about us are assembled unto them, even a great host. Let me take a break and readjust. I'm sorry. He hath also hired the Arabians to help them, and they have pitched their tents beyond the brook, ready to come and fight against thee. Upon this Judas went to meet them. When Timotheus said unto the captains of his host, When Judas and his host come near the brook, if he passes over first upon us, we shall not be able to withstand him, for he will mightily prevail us. But if he be afraid and camp beyond the river, we shall go over to him and prevail against him. Now when Judas came near the brook, he caused the scribes of the people to remain by the brook, unto whom he gave commandment, saying, Suffer no man to remain in the camp, but let all come to battle. So he went first over unto them, and all the people after him. Then all the heathen, being discomfited before him, cast away their weapons, and fled into the temple that was at Karnaim. But they took the city, burned the temple with all that was therein. Thus was Karnaim subdued, neither could they stand any longer before Judas. Then Judas gathered together all the Israelites that were in the country of Gilead, from the least unto the greatest, even their wives and their children and their stuff, a very great host, to the end that they might come to the land of Judea. Now when they came to Ephron, this was a great city, in the way as which they should go, very well fortified. They could not turn from it, neither to the right or to the left, but must need pass through the midst of it. Then they of the city shut them out, stopped up the gates with stones. Whereupon Judas sent unto them in peaceable manner, saying, Let us pass through your land, go into your own country, and none shall do you any harm. We will only pass through on foot. Howbeit they would not open up unto him. Wherefore Judas commanded a proclamation to be made throughout the host, that every man should pitch his tent in the place where he was. So the soldiers pitched and assaulted the city all that day and all that night, until at the length of the city was delivered into his hands. Who then slew all the males with the edge of the sword, and razed the city, and took the spoils of it, and passed through the city over them that were slain. After this went they over Jordan into the great plain before Bethsan. And Judas gathered together those that came behind, and exhorted people all the way through till they came into the land of Judea. So they went up to Mount Sion with joy and gladness, where they offered burnt offerings, because not one of them were slain until they had returned in peace. Now what time as Judith and Jonathan were in the land. Something from the tree hit my car. Sorry. Now, what time as Judith and Jonathan were in the land of Gilead, and Simon his brother in Galilee before Ptolemaeus, Joseph, the son of Zacharias, and Azarias, captains of the garrisons, heard of the valiant acts and warlike deeds which they have done. Therefore they said, let us also get a name, and go fight against the heathen that are round about us. So when they had given charge unto the garrison that was with them, they went into Gemnia. Then came Gorgias and his men out of the city to fight against them, and so it was that Joseph and Azarias were put to flight, and pursued upon the borders of Judea, and there were slain that day of the people of Israel about 2,000 men. Thus was there a great overthrow among the children of Israel, because they were not obedient unto Judas and his brethren, but thought to do some valiant act. Wherefore these men came not of the seed of those by whose hand deliverance was given unto Israel. Howbeit the men of Judas and his brethren were greatly renowned in the sight of all Israel, and of all the heathen, wheresoever their name was heard of, insomuch as the people assembled unto them with joyful acclamations. Afterward, when Judas forth with his brethren, and fought against the children of Esau in the land toward the south, where he smote Hebron and the towns thereof, and pulled down the fortresses, and burnt down the towers thereof around about it. From thence he removed to go into the land of the Philistines, and passed through Samaria. At that time certain priests, desirous to slew their valor, were slain in battle, for that they went out to fight unadvisedly. So Judas turned to Asordas in the land of the Philistines, and when he put down their altars, and burned down their carved images with fire, and spoiled their cities, he returned to the land of Judea. So that is the end of chapter 5. That was pretty lengthy. If you had not read chapter 4, that is where it talks about the Feast of Dedication, or Hanukkah. So that's also a good one to revisit. Have a good day.